So we wanted to bring the community together to have a discussion about public safety, to discuss the ambassador program that we've heard rumblings about, to get our questions answered, and to bring all partners and leaders in our community together to work in collaboration towards one common goal. Public safety is the cornerstone of a thriving community, and with over 65 businesses that have closed on Hennepin alone over the last 3 years, we are at a turning point. How we address our crisis and come together to solve our challenges will determine our success in the future. With that, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, General Manager of the Uptown Theater, Bradley Rice.
So first of all, good evening, everybody. I really appreciate this huge turnout. Originally, I thought we would have a decent turnout, but I was not realizing that it was going to be a couple hundred people. So great to see this huge of a turnout and this many people that are dedicated to making sure that our concerns get recognized and we figure out solutions for them here in Uptown. As Andrea mentioned, I'm the general manager here at Uptown Theater. I'm also on the board of the Uptown Association. I want to kind of talk a little bit about my experience being from Louisville, Kentucky originally and moving up here. So in 2023, I moved from my hometown of Louisville, Kentucky to Minneapolis to help reopen this historic theater as a music venue. Been in the music business for quite a long time. I've been helping operate and manage music venues for over a decade now. The common misconception is that I'm from a small town. In actuality, the population of Louisville is just under 623,000 people. Comparatively with the population of Minneapolis is slightly over 425,000. So Louisville actually has a larger population, and it's faced some of the same issues that we're facing here in Uptown, and in Minneapolis in general. Some other common general misconceptions of Kentucky are that it's a southern state, it's populated by hillbillies, which is true, and that it's behind the times, so to speak. I've found since moving here to Minneapolis that at the very least we have some great helpful programs in place back in Kentucky that I think could lend itself well up here that I just don't see in place currently. These programs, which I'm about to delve into, help foster a welcoming and hospitable area for families to live, work, and play, as well as businesses to grow and thrive. And as far as I can tell, we don't seem to have these helpful programs here in Minneapolis. And if we do, I certainly do not see them currently being employed here in Uptown. One of these helpful programs I speak of is an ambassador program. Our local ambassadors are friendly and helpful, wearing easily recognizable uniforms. They go through a training process that teaches de-escalation and crowd management. They have clearly defined roles and responsibilities. They have a direct line of communication to police, EMTs, and fire dispatch. Their team's working hours are determined by events in the community and peak hours of activity, and there's leadership in place that is approachable and holds their staff accountable. The ambassadors there are often seen answering questions and giving directions to a tourist or neighbor looking for a specific shop, where to park, or where to eat lunch or dinner at. While doing so, they also ensure that our streets and public spaces are kept clean and free of debris, graffiti, abandoned property, and other harmful items and substances. These ambassadors, like I said, also have that direct line to dispatch. So if they see someone in distress, they can request an ambulance, fire, or even police to their location. Working in conjunction with this ambassadors program is another great program we have there in Kentucky called Brightside. Now, Brightside is very unique as it is a donor-funded and volunteer-ran 501c3. It's also a government agency, though. So it functions as both public and private partnership that promotes sustainability through their long-standing education program. On top of teaching future generations about sustainability, their countywide cleanups have empowered thousands of volunteers to remove more than 300 plus tons of waste from city streets and public areas. It's the equivalent of 20 semi-tractor trailers completely full of waste. And that just happened in the last 5 years. So That many tons in just 5 years. They're able to accomplish this by utilizing some government funding and the power of the community getting involved. These two programs have built and continue to promote a welcoming, safe, and clean environment throughout Louisville, Kentucky. I tell you all this to give you some insight and perspective of what assistance we had in Louisville while I was there, but have not found in Uptown yet. Now let me tell you the story of my experiences here in Uptown. In June of 2023, we reopened this theater. I woke up that morning, excited to get to the theater first thing. I saw when I arrived is that someone had climbed on top of our on top of our marquee and spray painted a gigantic piece of graffiti on our sandstone marquee. One of my colleagues, I got tongue-tied there. One of my colleagues who traveled here to assist with the opening told me she would handle it and reach out to the city for assistance with getting the graffiti removed. We were shocked when we were informed by the city that not only would they not recommend someone to help with the removal, but that we had 20 days to find someone to remove it, or the city would remove it and charge us 3 times the cost, as well as possible fines and fees on top of that. This certainly wasn't a great way for our business to be welcome to the city, and it set the unfortunate precedent that the city is not willing to help. Since then, myself and our staff have dealt with numerous graffiti tags, property damage to our building. We've had to repeatedly clean up abandoned property, human feces, rotting food, heroin needles, and even had to remove trespassers from blocking entryways to our business and from setting up homeless encampments nearby on numerous occasions. In fact, just yesterday, as I was reviewing this speech, I got a text from one of our neighbors that there is a homeless encampment right in front of my front doors. I called 911 to report that a neighbor had informed me of this. And I was told by the dispatch that they would send out a squad of police to help out. Because I confirmed on my security cameras that there's about 6 to 7 people out there. I let the dispatch person know that I was about 15 to 20 minutes away from my business. I got here, I waited, no police arrived, unfortunately. I had to go out there and talk to 7 people who were on my property, blocking my entryway. Luckily for me, they were peaceful, and they grabbed all of their belongings and moved across the street. And one guy in particular, I was letting them know, like, just a piece of advice. Don't block business entryways and clean up after yourself. I realize people have fallen on hard times. I don't want to seem like I'm heartless. And so as I'm telling them this, one of the gentlemen said, if I could borrow a broom, I'll help clean up my friend's mess. So I came in here and I grabbed a couple brooms, and together we not only cleaned up my entryway, but the whole sidewalk, the whole public sidewalk out there of the trash that they had left. And still, the police never arrived. Never got a phone call, left my number with them, nothing. So once again, I had to take matters in my own hands and deal with these things myself. Sorry, I've lost my place. Give me 1 second. Oh, it's also important to note that these weren't just people that were hanging out there looking for a place to sleep. They were actively doing whatever their drug of choice was right there in front of our venue. Actually, when I asked them to please stop smoking whatever the drug was, they tried to offer it to me as if I was here to party with them. Like I said, luckily they were peaceful and I was able to handle that myself. But I don't feel that that burden should be on us as business owners and residents. All of these public safety concerns and hazardous issues that I speak of have created a huge cost and burden to our business because the city has seemingly done nothing to prevent or assist with these issues that we're all facing in this neighborhood. The cost both in labor and lost customers who are simply afraid of the area or put off by the dirtiness of Uptown are now avoiding this neighborhood. I would hope, and I'm sure that everyone in this room, both public and private sector, can agree that we are all here because we want Uptown to be a clean, safe, and vibrant community that's welcome to anyone and everyone. We need the city to be involved in the revitalization. We need the city to be involved in the revitalization of Uptown. I'll say that again. Not only by approving funding for the programs similar to the Ambassadors and Brightside, which I have worked in Louisville to aid in safety, cleanup, and sustainability, but also to help us in this neighborhood to host community events on these streets, sidewalks, and in our green spaces. I strongly believe that once we can show that Uptown is a safe and fun place for everyone, businesses and guests will come back in droves. For too long, these values and responsibilities have been upheld by us in the private sector, and the burdens have fallen on our shoulders and been held up by the businesses and community members here while receiving little to no support from our city. It's time for the mayor, city council, and our other political figures to work with the community to resolve these issues we are all facing together. This twofold approach with trained ambassadors and a sustainability cleanup crew is the way I see to move forward so we can truly lift Uptown back up. However, to be successful, again, we need everyone, including our elected officials, to buy in and be involved.
Thank you, Bradley. Next up, I'd like to introduce Chris Ikeda, who owns Lake and Irving.
Hi guys, thank you for showing up. This is quite a turnout. My name is Chris Ikeda, longtime Minneapolis resident, restaurateur, and homeowner in South Minneapolis. I've owned and operated Lake and Irving for 11 years now, right about 2 blocks away. And I also own Pauhana Restaurant down in Savage. So, sorry. Pauhana Restaurant down in Savage, I also own and operate. Okay, I'll speak up. First of all, I want to thank Bradley, the Uptown Association, Live Nation, and just the community in general for showing up today to have this important conversation. And I'd like to acknowledge Uptown Theater's incredible contribution to Uptown. I can speak from a personal note. When there's a sold-out show here on a Tuesday night, it's usually good for about a 40% increase in sales for my business for that evening. It makes a huge difference to me. Our employees, our 38 employees, our staff, our 38 staff members that all primarily live, work, and play right here in Uptown. So those dollars come right back and are reinvested locally. So it's really important. So again, thank you so much to the Uptown Theater and Bradley and everybody else involved. I'm here to speak a little bit about why I personally believe the violence interrupters are not the answer for what we're trying to achieve here in Uptown. For many of the people who have been here in Uptown for years will remember the events that kind of unfolded in the summer of '21 after the Winston Smith shooting right here a block away. The only time that I've seen the violence interrupters prevent a situation from escalating was the very first day after the shooting. When Lake and Girard started to get hot, people were very emotional and tensions were rising. A Mother's Love initiative was there. They played a very key role. And then We Push for Peace was there. At that moment, they helped settle things down. The preceding weeks and months and the entire summer of 2021 turned into an absolute hellscape. And anybody who was here, anybody who lives within a 5-block radius of this area understands what we went through. I got pictures up here. I could show you more on my phone. These are all my own pictures, if you guys forget what we went through. It was a lot. Excuse me. And right a block away, Lake and Hennepin was taken over many times. At one point for days on end. Traffic was blocked. Someone was run over by a car and killed. It was insane, in my opinion. And essentially a no-go zone was formed, and they started migrating into the private lot over by 7 Points, which then, this entire time, there was no further actionable benefit from or aid from the VP groups or the violence prevention groups, from what I saw. That year in 2021, I believe We Push for Peace received $500,000. $500,000 of our taxpayer money went to them. And I'd like to reiterate, I think the violence prevention program is well-intentioned, right? The premise behind it is sincere. People, we want some solutions, right? It's failing. It's not working, and I'm here to say that quiet part out loud that no one else seems to want to address. We are shoveling money out the window right now. I don't have metrics to crime metrics or any data to substantiate this. I can tell you that summer I boarded up my restaurant 3 times. 3 times. I closed early multiple times. I had to escort my staff out of the building. I can't operate a restaurant under that environment. The reality is these programs are generally reactive rather than proactive. I personally don't believe there's a benefit to having 20 to 30 people on a block on a Tuesday at 3:30 in the afternoon and almost making it look like we have a problem. Well, we do have a problem, but I don't think that's the solution. Also, the hours of operation don't coincide with when most of these issues occur, which is what Bradley also addressed. Uptown, prior to years back, it's always been a nightlife area. It's always been an entertainment district. We've always had a vibrant nightlife. If we don't have the corresponding services during those times, then it's all for nothing. I have the issue of perception as well, the perception of crime, right? I personally believe that we're past that. We have an issue with crime. There is no perception. And in my opinion, what sounds better? Is it violence interrupters or safety ambassadors, right? What sounds better? What's the soundbite that you see on every single news outlet when Uptown's getting just railed by the press? It's violence, violence, violence interrupters. It might sound proactive, but it doesn't reflect the reality of what the community needs. So we need to propose effective solutions. We need to have resources that should be allocated towards real proactive safety measures. We need to focus on better lighting. I struggled for this summer after the construction. I lost streetlights in front of my business and my friends' businesses for 7 months. I understand there's copper theft. I understand there's things going on. I know we have construction. But to not be able to see where you're even walking down the street in the dark, that's an issue. That's number one. Number two, we need to have enhanced security infrastructure. We need more cameras. We need ShotSpotter, in my opinion. We need a more robust law enforcement presence in the area. And we need to make sure that there's a clear path for measuring this success and that there's transparent, actionable results. The money spent on safety should deliver real, tangible results, not just symbolic gestures. So everyone that's here today, I urge you to prioritize the support and genuine public safety over these feel-good initiatives and this lack of effectiveness that we're currently experiencing. And I'm here to tell you again that I'm addressing the reality that many are reluctant to admit up until this point, but violence prevention in its current form is not working. And I understand why some may hesitate to speak up, but I'm not going to sit here and stay silent when our safety is at stake. I wasn't going to talk about this, but Thursday night at my restaurant, I had a 35, 40-year-old woman pull in my parking lot to come play trivia. All she's trying to do is just have a night come play trivia. A stolen Hyundai pulled into my parking lot, and 3 masked men jumped out, all with firearms, and assaulted her in my parking lot. know how much longer I could keep doing this. I've been doing it for 11 years, and it's never been this bad. Luckily, she wasn't hurt, but when I was reviewing the security footage, I watched a 15-year-old rack his Glock, put a bullet in the chamber before he walked up to her. He was ready to fight over a BMW. We have some problems, and we need to address this. We need to come together and figure out a solution. Because everybody in this room right now is here because you care about Uptown, and for the most part, I think most of you do, or you wouldn't be here. I don't care about your political affiliation. I don't care about your background. I don't care where you live. I don't care about any of that. We just have to come up with some solutions. The time is now. Like I said, I can't keep doing this. I need some help, and I'm here to ask for you guys for some help. Thank you so much this week.
Thank you so much. That took a lot of guts to get up here and say all that he had to say. I wanted to show this graph. Everywhere in the city, crime has gone down. So that's a really positive thing. But if you take a look at this line here, this little gray line, that's the 5th precinct. We've actually gone the other direction. So looking to our city officials, please hear us. We need help. We need resources. We need services. We need your attention. We need you to answer emails when we email you. We need help. With that, I'm going to introduce Christopher Forrest with Unparalleled Security.
Thank you, Andrea, and thank you, the Uptown Theater, for having us here tonight. The Uptown Association asked for me to come and just talk on a couple topics of some security initiatives that have worked in the city. So I'm the owner of Unparalleled Security, and we service throughout the Twin Cities. My office is downtown. I've been through all the similar things that you guys have all been through as well. I've been in business here for 17 years in the city, so I've seen the good times, the challenging times, and some good rebounding times. This may help. So, 17 years in business. I've been here with all of you through these challenging times. I started my business at 21, and I was out here working hard with these law enforcement individuals in different businesses that we've struggled through those times. So, I want to talk a little bit about a program that's going on right now that is effective with the city. So there's a program, the Nicollet Security Program, that's run through the Downtown Council and the DID. It's on Nicollet Avenue from Washington Avenue to Grant. We have 2 spectacular individuals who work 40 hours a week out there working with community and business. And it's a program that's worked really well. Why has it worked well? It's because it's been a great collaborative effort with the city of Minneapolis, the Downtown Council, and the private sector of security like us, who've come through and we've come together with all of our areas of expertise, and we've made impact. We have great resources, we have buy-in from the businesses, we have body-worn cameras to collect data and information, we review this information, and it works. And we were able to save lives, we're able to interrupt situations where someone could be having a medical issue in different scenarios. And we encourage that these kinds of programs through the private sectors continue to be utilized, because the police force, they're limited on resources. And the private sector have a lot of experience, and there's a few companies out here that have great resources that can impact on a very positive light to help contribute to the overall safety and security of the city. And I think Uptown is one of those programs. We have the violence interrupters, and I think in collaboration, bringing in some private security that has maybe a more robust training program and regulations. We're a program that's managed by the Criminal Bureau at the BCA. So everyone has a full background check. We go through regular ongoing training. And these are programs that I think would be beneficial to the Uptown program for what's going on here. So we've seen this program work, and I think that's really what we're looking to speak on, is a program that can be done if you do bring different agencies together, and that's community. We all have our area of expertise. We have our experiences in life, and if we can come together as a community and actually work together, it can be done, and we've seen it done well. So I think that's all that I have for tonight, and I appreciate everyone's acknowledgement here. And as you can see from the last individual, there's a lot of passion. I think Minneapolis has a lot of passion. We've all been through a lot. So we have to stick together, and that's the only way we can make change.
Thank you, Chris. So poverty permeates in unsafe communities. When we accept a devastating level of crime and are callous to it, all in the same breath, claiming to protect and lift up our vulnerable neighbors, it's those we are hurting the most. Taxes are increasing, insurance rates are hiking due to vandalism and carjackings, and housing and rental costs go up because of these factors. The livability and economic engine of the city is dwindling. Businesses are leaving because we're not giving them the environment they need to succeed. What we are currently doing is not working. We need to get back to pragmatic results. We are asking our elected officials for help now and results. And with that, I'm going to introduce Commissioner Todd Barnette to share some thoughts and insight with us. Thank you for being here today.
Well, first, thanks for having me. Thanks for opening up the theater here this evening. I'll try to be brief because I know there's a lot of questions out there. I got a lot of them when I walked in. So here's a couple of things just to kind of catch you up. Yes, it's tough to hear those stories that were shared, but one of the things I want to let you know is that we are working towards having a comprehensive community safety ecosystem. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is that we are working so that when we do deploy violence interrupters, that we know where they are, that we know the areas to send them. We want to be data-driven as we do these things. We're slowly implementing all of these things into our ecosystem. I think one of the big questions that I got here as I walked in the door was related to the safety ambassadors. And so, hey, when are the safety ambassadors coming to Uptown? I don't have a good answer for you, so I'm just going to start right there and I'll tell you why. DID, I was around as a judge at that time when DID started, around 2009, 2010. All right, DID is funded by the downtown businesses, and it took years and years for them to get where they are today. That's where the city wants to be. So there was money dedicated for safety ambassadors in the 2024 budget. There was, I believe, $3 million for 11 districts. I thought it was 11. 10 districts, sorry about that. 10 districts, $3 million. DID spends $2.5 million a year on a contract. We have $3 million. So what we did was, like any, I think, responsible entity would, we looked at this and we said, hey, what do we need to do? We need to pare this down because it's one-time money. And so that's what we did, and we started looking at this in spring of 2024, I believe. And with that, we're going to start 2 cultural districts, and after about 6 months or so, we're going to make sure that, one, we're being transparent about what we're trying to do, that we're being data-driven, and that we can sustain the program as a city. Because that's what's important, is that we do the things to sustain programs that work. DID is a good model to have, and now it's whether or not the city can implement it.
What is DID?
Oh, sorry. DID is the Downtown Improvement District. They're the ones that fund the safety ambassadors that you see downtown. And so I do have my Director of Design and Implementation, Amanda Harrington, that can give you more detail about what's going on with our Safety Ambassador program, because I know that's one of the issues that you asked about.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Amanda Harrington. I'm the Director of Community Safety Design and Implementation. I work for Commissioner Barnette. I started in December 2023, and in the spring of 2024, I started working on the Safety Ambassador pilot. We did a lot of research, and what I learned is that it takes a really long time to get a new service off the ground. We had to do research with other jurisdictions around the country to figure out what they put together into their program. We had to figure out, again, what was fiscally responsible. It was actually 11 areas that were supposed to be getting safety ambassador programs with the $3 million. It was 7 cultural corridors, and then 4 Great Streets eligible sections of Uptown, Mill City, Dinkytown, and East Hennepin. We started off by saying we knew we needed infrastructure. That's one of the things when the commissioner talks about the DID taking a long time. They had to set up infrastructure. They had to have the technology. They had to have reporting mechanisms. It wasn't just about getting people on the street immediately. And so that's part of what we've been doing the past few months, is figuring out how can we make this work that's not just having people on the streets kind of doing what they feel like doing. And so we've worked out a system. We issued a request for proposal for 2 areas, East Lake Street and Franklin Avenue. We chose those areas because they were close to the places where we were building community safety centers. That's where we could have the infrastructure to have the dispatchers that will be helping connect all of the safety ambassadors on the street and let them use that kind of as a base of operations. We also chose that because data showed East Lake Street had some significant needs, as did Franklin Avenue, and we had no services at that time on Franklin Avenue, so this was able to fill a gap. What we have intended is to expand this service as quickly as possible, but we have to look at data, and we don't have that data until we can get the safety ambassadors on the street. And so when the commissioner says he's not sure when they're going to get to this area, it is certainly our intention to get services out to the other cultural corridors and the other sections noted in the earmark. What we want is at least 6 months worth of data. Safety ambassadors get on the streets on Franklin and Lake Street in May. We're not going to wait 6 months to start doing work on the next sections. In the meantime, what we're going to do is look at the data, like I mentioned, and start doing community engagement. With Lake Street and Franklin Avenue, we went out and spoke with business associations. The Lake Street Council, Franklin Avenue Business Association, the schools in the area. We went to a lot of community events and asked for feedback from people. We're going to do the same thing. That's how we determined the hours for our pilot sites. It's how we determined what exactly they would be doing, because each of the cultural districts and the other areas noted in the earmark are unique, and they need services that are unique. We can't just put one thing out in 11 different areas of the city and expect that it will work, because Uptown doesn't have the same needs as East Hennepin. It doesn't have the same needs as North Minneapolis on Broadway. So we are working as quickly as possible to set up the contract to get the new services out on the street. What you should expect to see if you're in those areas is safety ambassadors, like the first speaker noted, in bright, it'll be blue polo shirts that say safety ambassadors on them, so they should be very recognizable. Our expectation is that they are walking the entire corridor that we put them in. That means the main section, but also side streets, alleys. They should be checking in with businesses. That's part of what's written into their contract. The expectation is that they can address livability issues. So if they see somebody who's unhoused, they can offer them resources. They can connect them to one of the social workers that we might have. They can provide first aid, CPR. We'll have a lot of training that they have to go through, de-escalation, customer service. They can be dispatched. So if a business says, I have somebody in my store who I don't want there, instead of calling police, you can call the number that we will provide to the community and request to have one of the safety ambassadors come out and talk to that individual. We also have the expectation that they can provide safety escorts. So if you have a customer who doesn't feel safe walking to their vehicle, or perhaps a student who doesn't feel safe going from a transit hub to a block that's closer to their school, they can provide that service as well. They should be visible and they should be accessible by calling the dispatch office. That's all the infrastructure things that we've been setting up and that we will plan to set up in unique ways in each of the cultural corridors and other areas that were in the earmark.
So when might we see that in Uptown?
I need 6 months worth of data to show that the program's successful, which doesn't make anybody in this room feel any better. But for me, as a city employee, it also is a fiscally responsible use of your taxpayer dollars. Because if I start doing something in 11 areas all at once, it's going to be a cookie cutter service that doesn't meet all of your individual needs and is likely to fail and has one-time money.
What kind of data do you need that you can't get from the local PD department and the local security companies already?
The data that I'm looking for during the next 6 months is that the pilot is successful. It's not crime data. That's where we will use to determine where we're going to expand to. But what we need to do is actually have these services started and show that they're effective, that businesses actually feel that they're getting their needs met, that community members have increased feelings of safety, that they're actually responding, making referrals. That's the type of data that we're looking for to show that the program is effective. I think when people were talking about violence interrupters, this is the same thing, right? If we just put things out on the street, kind of throw things at the wall and hope that it works, we're not doing justice to the communities that we're serving. We're trying to give effective services to the community.
Can you tell me?
What types of background checks or physical requirements are required from the staff?
So there's a question about background checks. We are requiring them to go through security guard training, which means that they have to have both a local background check as well as background check, or a BCA background check as well as a national background check. We do want people with lived experience being out there because they may have increased trust with community members that they're interacting with, but we also want that to be balanced with that they don't have a very recent criminal history, so they do have to go through the background check.
Board of Federal Detectives and detective agents on board with this, seeing as they won't be operating under a licensed entity?
The organization that was chosen to be our vendor actually will become a licensed entity. So that's one of the requirements for them to get their employees the certification for security guards. I know there was a question over here.
So once you get the 6 months of data that will allow you to put these people in place in the street here, how long is the contract for? A year? Because, you know, if you give us some violence interrupters, safety people, and the program doesn't get funded for more than a year, that just creates a lot of futility for people. And I'm also concerned that we have some other issues in this area in terms of like no parking on the streets, all these other kind of things that sometimes it feels like these programs are like putting lipstick on a pig. You know what I mean? They're not going to really change the fact that we need more, it's great to have violence interrupters, but you need presence on the street, and we don't have that because we don't have any parking.
Okay, I'm not even going to attempt to repeat everything that you said because I'm not going to get it all right, but there was a question about,
How long is the contract?
thank you, how long is the contract? What we have for the current vendors is a 1-year contract with an addition to extend for 2 years, but quite honestly, all of that depends on funding. As the commissioner noted, the $3 million that was allocated for this service is one-time funding, and so when it's gone, it's gone.
Okay, that answers that question. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we're going to give thank you very much. Appreciate it. So Commissioner Barnette said that he would stick around for some additional questions. I just wanted to give Katie Cashman and Aisha Chughtai a chance to speak. Sorry, council member.
Hi everyone, I'm Katie Cashman. I represent the 7th Ward. So west of Hennepin and north of Lagoon. So East Isles, Lowry Hill, and the neighborhoods west and north of that. And I'll have Council Vice President kick us off.
Hello everyone, my name is Aisha Chughtai. I represent Ward 10 on the Minneapolis City Council, which includes the Whittier, Lowry Hill East, South Uptown, East Biddy-McCoska, and a little bit of East Isles neighborhoods. And together, Council Member Cashman and I represent the Uptown community on the City Council. I'm really excited to be here with all of you today to talk about Uptown safety ambassadors and broadly other investments that are needed in this community to address the unique public safety challenges that exist here. I was elected in November of 2021. I started at the city in January of 2022. And my first year in office, my first year and a half in office was largely spent meeting with staff in every department, really getting to understand all of the core functions of the city and bringing to attention to every person I talked to, hey, there are some real challenges in Uptown. There are some real challenges with businesses that are leaving and empty storefronts. There's challenges with trash pickup and streetlights and traffic safety and stop signs and all of these different things. There's challenges with people calling 911 and not getting help and all of these other types of safety needs that we have that seem to be overlooked. It seems like no one thinks that we have any issues, and why is that? I want to bring that to your attention. Maybe I'm the first person telling you that, but these are real challenges. And for that first year and a half, I felt like I was always blown off, like, oh, Uptown doesn't have real problems. That's a perception issue. That's not a real issue. And at that point, I really was like, I'm ready to take matters into my own hand. This is not working. And that's when we started to put together budget proposals and bring them forward for votes. And that's how the Uptown Safety Ambassador Program came to be funded. It was in summer of 2023, we received this unexpected money from the state in the form of public safety aid. So we received $19 million. This was money that we weren't counting on. We wouldn't have to make cuts elsewhere or consider an increase to property taxes in order to fund something new and creative that has worked in other parts of the state, that has worked in our own city, that has worked in other parts of the country, as Bradley was talking to us about. And so we took $3.3 million, $300,000 per district, and funded a pilot program in 11 different communities across the city. And the thought behind it was, we have this one-time money, let's use it and let's get some data. Let's prove that this type of model can work. And then let's take that and expand it. Let's fund it on an ongoing basis, but let's try something creative, let's try something new here. So this program was funded back in December of 2023. It's been quite a while since that happened. In summer of 2024, just last year, it was proposed to be cut. And Council Member Cashman and I got to work together to not just protect this funding, but to walk into last year's budget season with this dedication to bringing new resources to Uptown and addressing all of these different issues that I know you see day in and day out, right? Whether that is empty storefronts and funding the Vibrant Storefronts Initiative, which is coming to Uptown. 5 empty storefronts in Uptown will be taken over by artists, and we'll be a part of activating the space, whether that is in business technical assistance grants being earmarked for Uptown, because this is a community that is struggling, whether that's funding a new creative program, $800,000 in construction hardship support grants, because we know that construction, both on Lake Street and on Hennepin Avenue, is affecting this community. It's affecting businesses. It's affecting people who live here, people who visit here, and that requires unique solutions. It requires some help in the interim. On the community safety ecosystem, I just want to say this. I don't want this conversation to be about whether we should have violence interrupters or we should have safety ambassadors. I think we need all of the above. Every single safety solution and ecosystem that exists in our city, whether that's violence interrupters or group violence intervention, or it is our police department and our fire department and our behavioral crisis response and 911. All of those things, we need that here. And so I'm going to turn it over to Councilmember Cashman to speak a little bit more, but we're so excited and thankful that you're all here and you're helping us make the case to others that work in our city that this matters. We need help.
Thank you. Well,
It's been going on a whole lot longer.
yeah, I'm so grateful that
Why
this.
don't we have more better results? Just talk about data, we're hearing it, and testimony.
Absolutely, absolutely. And actually, this meeting is a very important inflection point because Council Vice President Chughtai and I have been sounding the alarm to our Office of Community Safety for a year and a half now, and we have not seen the results of that investment made in the Safety Ambassador Program. That program was invested in a year and a half ago, right? And what I really want to say is that
We'll come to you right next. We'll come to you first.
yeah. I just wanted to say that, you know, I represent downtown and I represent parts of Uptown, and I don't believe that we need data from our other safety ambassador programs to show what works. Because we have data from 8 years of the program working downtown. And I can show you that data, and I know that the DID is more than happy to consult with us, to show us their results, to give us their best practices. You know, I actually hosted a meeting at the Walker Library on August 21st of this year, and the Downtown Improvement District Safety Lead, Shane Zahn, came and gave a presentation. I know many of you were there, and weighed in on what do you want the Safety Ambassador Program to look like in Uptown. And so I believe all of you should be the experts in deciding what that service looks like. I think we have experts from Downtown Improvement District to help us craft it. And, you know, I really respect the directors in the Office of Community Safety, but I believe that the Council Vice President and Aisha Chughtai and I, have raised the alarm. We have done all the advocating that we can do to the mayor's departments on how to get this implemented. And so we need your help. We really need your help, and we want you all to weigh in on that conversation. We want you to be contacting the mayor and for him to be making this a priority as well. So that's what I wanted to say about the safety ambassadors, and we can take some questions.
I saw your hand in the back.
So the question is about the double reconstructions that Uptown has endured. Both Lake and Hennepin happening at the same time is a huge challenge. I know Uptown Association reported out that 60 businesses had left. I think it's over 60, maybe up to 70, just on Hennepin. And that is a very serious concern. I believe that more due diligence should have been done on the front end of designing.
That's what I'm asking. What was done on the front end of the design to know to do this?
There was not enough business support given on the front end of doing construction. Absolutely, hands down.
Will you give it to Lindale now that you've learned what happened on Hennepin, and now you're going to take?
So Lindale is a county-owned street. That is a county-led project. It is, and so that creates frustrations. I understand that. We are at the city from you know, the elected level to elected level, and then from the administration level to the administration level, sharing insights about, you know, what we learned coming out of Hennepin Avenue, the unique challenges that are facing the Lindale business corridor as well, and the need to invest on the front end on supporting businesses. So, you know, the work on community engagement for Hennepin Avenue started in 2019. It was before my time on the city council, and then COVID happened, and then all of the things that had been learned from 2019 until then kind of had to be, you know, thrown out the window because things had changed so dramatically. So, you know, years of engagement went into that work. I think there are things we did to incorporate the concerns that were raised from business owners in particular, around the constraints on parking, And so, making the adjustments that were made included an additional parking study, a parking task force, making sure that for the first 2 years after that street fully reopens, so starting next spring, that for at least those first 2 years, there is always some parking availability on Hennepin Avenue, and that it doesn't become 24/7. It's not for bus use 24/7 hours of the day. I think the piece of this puzzle that was missing, and we tried to raise it. My office certainly did back in the spring and summer of 2022, prior to some of these decisions being made, was on what are we doing to help businesses? What are we doing to make sure that the hardship that will be endured by every business, kind of regardless of what type of service you provide, how long you've been in the community, whatever your circumstances may be, when your street is torn up and it's impossible for people to get there, and all of the hardships that come along with construction are affecting the entire corridor. What are we doing to help businesses survive reconstruction and benefit from the infrastructure investment, the $40 million infrastructure investment we're making on this street, a street that we're building for the next 100 years? And I don't think that was taken seriously, and I think we're seeing the impact of that today.
You haven't done anything for businesses for 4 years.
We've done a lot of different things for businesses, certainly not enough.
Why don't you tell us
Certainly
what
not
you
enough.
have
What
done?
have you done?
I'm
Tell us
happy to
what
talk
you
about
have
it.
done.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right, I think just to keep things civil, I'm going to take some questions from the audience, and I'm going to ask if the audience can come up to ask their questions so that everybody can hear. So I'm going to take Steve first.
So my question is, we're spending lots of money to get artists to come up and store. Okay, so we're spending all this money to get artists to occupy storefronts, which is nice. I think it's a nice idea. It would be nicer if we didn't lose the Uptown Opera. And that is directly because you guys voted. And the only reason we have the parking on Hennepin Avenue is because of Mary, not because of you. So my question here, I guess I have a question. My question is, can you hear me now? Why do we provide funding towards businesses to be able to afford their rent? Because the thing is that every single business that closes on Hennepin or Lake Street leads to another business closing. Because your mismanagement of Uptown, we've lost dozens of stores. And because of those dozen stores leaving, we're losing more stores every day. And so rather than give artists money, why don't you just help the business owners in Uptown afford their rent and afford their taxes?
Yeah, thanks. I'll just mention that the Virus Reference Program is a direct subsidy, $50K to businesses for their lease to be covered for 2 years. That program is currently open, so please check out the RFP. If you are a property owner and you want your business to participate, you want guaranteed tenant for 2 years, sponsored by the city, please reach out. If you are an artist and you want to be that tenant and to take up that space, please reach out because that program's currently available and ready for applicants.
Thank you, Katie. I'll take the next question. Zach Pettis.
Hey there, my name is Zach Pettis. My wife and I own Cycle Bar, which is 1 block away in the Walkway building. And this is a safety meeting. I appreciate paintings in windows, in empty storefronts, and I appreciate people in blue polos helping the homeless. We've had plenty of encampments and heroin activity right in front of our store. And having those types of services and programs during the day is excellent. But we had 920 cops at the end of 2019. We have more than 300 headcount less than that now. All these vacant businesses in our neighborhoods and along these streets, they're staying vacant because Uptown is not safe. my man Chris pointed out, it's not a perception anymore. It is a reality. And I have other territories where we're looking at other storefronts. If I was coming into this market, I would not open Uptown right now. And other businesses, whether they're restaurants, sandwich shops, t-shirt shops, fitness studios, they're not gonna open in any of these vacancies until Uptown is safe again. We have one of the department's top officials now dedicated to the 5th precinct. Welcome to the neighborhood. These supplemental programs are good, but they're Band-Aids. We need funding for more police because that will create safety. If you have 15-year-olds running in the Lake and Irving parking lots armed with Glocks ready to shoot a lady for her car, a guy in a polo isn't going to stop that. The police presence is going to create safety. The police presence will entice small businesses like mine, like Chris's restaurant, like Scott's skate shop, to open up along Hennepin. And when we can establish a well-trained, well-staffed, well-funded police force, Uptown will be safe again, and then businesses will come into the neighborhood and we will thrive again.
Yay.
And so the question is, can we get leadership that will approve funding for more police? I mean, that's kind of the obvious question. I'm just here as your neighbor and as a business owner in this neighborhood. These supplemental programs are nice, and I'm not bashing those efforts. But until we can reestablish a robust and well-trained police force, Uptown will not be a safe place where businesses return.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. We're working really hard to rebuild the ranks of MPD. Just last July of 2024, the council approved 22% raises for MPD, which is the largest increase any city department or the police force has had in recent memory. And it's starting to pay off in terms of recruitment. And so, yeah, thank you, Jim. The police budget has gone up over $200 million. It has increased every single year in the last 5 years, including this year. So I think we're going to see some great results from the comprehensive approach that the inspector's taking, the new inspector in the 5th precinct. He's bringing in his crime prevention specialists, he's bringing in his navigators, he's bringing in his lieutenants, and training up the force. And it does take time, but I'm grateful that they're here too.
Thank you. We'll take the next question. Hello, my name is Natasha Doctor, and I'm a condo owner in Uptown. And my question is about the how we're actually going to operationalize this program. And since that falls under the purview of the mayor, who isn't here, I'll ask my question to the commissioner. So I guess I'm just confused because I'm hearing this date of 2023 when we started talking about these funds, and I'm hearing that there's already data from downtown, and now we're hearing here at this meeting that you need an additional 6 months of data. And so my question is, what is the delay? What is this additional data you are looking for? And why isn't the program able to start now if this is something the community is asking for?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. Here's what I will tell you. We have to be responsible with the money. And so as part of that is that one of the things we've done is to build the infrastructure that Director Amanda Harrington's been talking about so that we can track the groups, so that we are able to deploy the resources where they're needed. DID, Safety Ambassadors, great program. Don't get me wrong. It's not a city program. We had to start it from scratch. And so in order to do that, we have to make sure that we have the infrastructure to make sure it works for the city and to be able to get those resources out appropriately and be fiscally responsible. Yes, you should.
So I'm still stuck on the 2023, and now we're in 2025, and there's this so yeah.
The 2023, so December was the budget amendments for 2024. And so the money was appropriated in 2024. We started the process of implementing this the spring of 2025. So it takes time. We did talk to the DID folks like Shane Zahn and other people about how did they do the work, how did they get started. One of the big things that we got from him was you gotta have be able to dispatch people. You need a dispatch center. So we had $3 million for the 11 safety ambassadors. We knew that wasn't enough money, so can we at least start a pilot to see then how do we implement all of these other safety ambassadors around the city? All right, you're welcome.
All right, thank you. I'll take the next question.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Thoman. I actually live in Ward 13. Lived there for 35 years, raised my children here. I've been through all the iterations in Uptown, all the changes. We don't come here anymore, unfortunately. But what I'm hearing is that this is a resource issue. I don't hear that there's a fight and differences in opinion about what we should do. We need money. And so, I don't know how the budget is set, but it seems to me it's very inflexible. I mean, I see all these money wasted on bump outs and all this crap in the streets. Yeah! No fucking bump outs! And, we saved a lot of money. There wasn't much plowing this year. So I'm just wondering, why can't we shift money where we need it? We need it in public safety.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will do my best to keep it short, yes. Thank you for the reminder, Andrea. I know we're super over time, so want to be respectful. These programs that we're talking about, whether it is the police department's budget, which has gone up $40 million in the last 5 years, or we're talking about any of these, the Safety Ambassador Program, which has been funded since December 2023, and that money is about to go out the door now. These programs are funded. This is not a funding problem. This is an implementation problem, which is why all of you are here helping us make the case that if a thing is needed, and then that thing is funded, then what the heck is taking so long? Fair question, fair question.
One person said it was a question of resources. We need more money and resources, and you're saying we have all the resources. That doesn't make sense.
Great question. So what you heard the Office of Community Safety speak on is, hey, this is we receive one-time money to stand up a pilot program that's not ongoing money. Well, duh, it's not ongoing money, it's a pilot program, so we funded it on a one-time basis with the hope that, and with explicit direction, right, like we stated this over and over and over again, that fund something. Stand up one pilot, make the case to us that we want to invest in this ongoing. We want this to be a permanent program. We want it to exist in every corner of the city. These are the 11 parts of the city that we believe most urgently need this investment in this moment. Responsive to what we're hearing from our residents. Here's one-time money, make something happen. We're gonna fund it on an ongoing basis. We've made that commitment publicly, we've made that commitment privately, we've reiterated it over the last year and a half now. I don't know what else we can do. We can't, I want this program to exist. I want more safety resources in Uptown.
Thank you. Take the next question.
Hi, I'm David Fay. I live in Kenwood Isles. I was RT Rabak's Chief of Staff during his first term, so I'm somewhat familiar with City Hall. This is not a resource problem, this is a leadership problem. If our administration had received the kind of very sensible support from its council members saying, we need this, we will fund this, we will put it in the budget, we would have gotten it done by now. Thank you. So, and not just the Safety Ambassadors Program, but the funding is in the budget this year for an additional crime prevention specialist. The program, the position has been recommended. the hiring process was going to start, and the administration stopped it. So if you want these things to happen, you need to put pressure on the mayor.
Thank you. Take the next question.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lydia Millard, and I'm actually running for City Council in Ward 10 Uptown. Thank you. I would like to say that funding additional officers is needed because we have been short before COVID. Right now, partnerships that are needed amongst MPD and our current council does not exist. So as much as we can stand here and sit here and talk about safety and how it is a priority, how are you making that a priority within your daily role for the past 4 years? We have not seen it. And so therefore, moving forward, if a question that you answer on an application is, will you increase the budget of police force, and your answer is no, then you cannot stand here and say that safety in Uptown is a priority for you.
Michaela, we'll take the next question.
Hi, my name is Michaela Holden. I am an East Dallas resident and a small business owner here in Uptown. I have a master's in public and nonprofit management, so I want to just put in a quick plug for the data. I believe in good data, and I know that this is a really contentious conversation, and yes, we need action right away. I also believe in making really smart choices, so I want to just say to those folks who are looking at data and are working towards long-term solutions, I do appreciate that personally. I have two quick things. One question that I have, speaking about long-term solutions, is I want to say I agree that we need a stronger police presence in Uptown. I also want to say that if I were a 15-year-old with a shotgun, ready to steal a car from somebody, I'm probably not too worried about the police. I'm probably coming from a background where I needed support growing up. And so my question would be to the council members and to the commissioner, if there is any long-term plans or programs to look at violence prevention from the ground up, from Head Start programs, or what are we doing in the schools so that we're not ending up with kids who are coming out of poverty who don't have another solution, who feel like they have to turn to violence. That's one question. And then I'm going to do a really shameless plug because I think these things do take time. Change takes time. There's a really, really dedicated group of 8 neighborhood associations that surround Uptown that are putting together a farmers market. It's going to be opening up this summer. My colleagues here who are chairing the committee are here, Dan and Amy. And we really want to invite everyone to come out to this every Thursday night in the summer. We are going to prove as a community that we are a safe community. And it takes every member of the community to come and be present, and that's what shows that it's a safe place. If you're out in the community supporting the businesses and supporting the community, we as a community can make it safer. So, thank you.
Hi, I'm Manny Minter, owner of Fit First Running. I've been here about 10 years now. It's my 11th year. I heard there's an initiative to have money for new businesses for 2 years, right? Is that what you said? For 2 years? What are you guys doing for businesses that are currently in Uptown that still survive COVID, riots, construction on 2 different places? It's dark, there's no lighting really on the major roads, so once it's 4 o'clock during the wintertime, I have elderly that I fit for orthotics. They don't feel comfortable, using like Aldrich or using DuPont. I also live on 27th and Girard, where there is like a sinkhole at. So what are you guys doing for the fact that it's not much lighting during like the late hours, dark hours, you know what I'm saying? Also, what are you doing for current business owners, funding to help us through this hard time? Because we have our solid customer base, but what are you guys doing for helping like grants, and that kind of stuff? I'll let you answer that question.
Thank you for doing business in Uptown. Thank you to everyone who's doing business in Uptown. But I just wanted to mention that there are $50,000 grants that are becoming available this spring for businesses that are adjacent to the Hennepin Avenue corridor because of reconstruction and because of all of you sounding the alarm over the past couple of years about this. It's called the Promise Act grant. The Neighborhood Development Corporation will be administering those grants, and their spring round of applications is going to include this area. So please keep an eye on that for like a direct financial subsidy, which was one part of your question. The second question was about street lights. We did have a ton of lights go out over the winter. Most people know at this point that because of the frozen ground, they couldn't replace the conduits. It's now getting very warm out, so I think in the next couple of weeks we're going to start to see Public Works out and replacing lights again, and we're more than happy to help with those issues on a daily basis. Yep. Well, I just saw their email go out. The question was about date, and it said spring round to include Uptown.
Actually, it was the Uptown Association that brought to our attention last year that there were challenges with businesses in Uptown being able to access the resources from the Promise Act. And then we were able to go back and talk with the legislative authors. This is a state-funded program, right? And work with them and the vendor on making this process easier. And so, kudos to the Uptown Business Association for bringing that to our attention right away. I know those were resources coming into our community we were counting on. And like every single time things like this happen, it feels really difficult. And it feels like that's the difference between a business staying open and closing, a new business choosing to come and invest here and not doing that. Another initiative I want to talk about to address your question is the newly funded at the city level. And so we were thinking about, the state has the Promise Act and this investment that they're bringing in. How can we match that or meet that in this unique way? And so we created a small business hardship loan and grant program. And that's about businesses that are impacted by construction and can show us, and can show the city, here's the way in which I have seen an economic hardship to the amount of people that are coming into my business, the amount of money that I'm making, pre-construction versus right during construction season or in the couple of years following, that you can receive a forgivable loan or a grant to help make up that difference, to be able to stay in the community. Another thing that we have done is specifically earmark. This is new. It's new. It doesn't have a name beyond business hardship loans and grants. This year, it's supposed to be happening this year. The question that was asked is, when is this going to become available? It's going to be happening this year. We're meeting with the Community Planning and Economic Development Department to be talking with them about when to expect this. The Uptown corridor was specifically designated as one of the corridors, one of the 3 corridors that will be where this spending will be directed to, because construction happens all over the city, but when a major reconstruction project is creating the type of challenges that we're seeing in Uptown, we wanted to make sure that money for sure came to Uptown. Yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashok Darwal. I own Yoga Fit Studios. I have 4 of them in Minneapolis, so I've seen a lot in Minneapolis. I worked at Target for 15 years before this, and they definitely would be out of business if they ran the government like this. Target itself went out of business here, right? So that's a bad sign itself in Uptown. The one thing I just want to share is, because I think there's a lot of residents here, and I don't know how many small businesses owners there are, but the one thing that I find when people are talking about Uptown and store closures, I just want to share whether other business owners feel this way, I don't know, but a lot of business owners here, including myself, are stuck in a lease, right? So if you have a 5-year lease, if you break that lease tomorrow, which the fitness people probably would agree with me, we have a personal guarantee. Our landlords can come after our house and all of our money. So what I'm trying to explain here is the ones that are open, like myself and other ones, doesn't mean we're gonna stay after our lease is over. And if you polled any small business owner, I bet in Uptown, I don't know what that number is, but I would bet it's a very high number of people that would never open again in Uptown. So what you see with those empty storefronts right now, my personal belief is there are going to be so many more every single week. The amount of like bike lanes and like bus lanes is unbelievable. I don't know how a fire truck is ever going to get through Hennepin Avenue, right? An ambulance, a cop, like all these medians in there, like, and every small business owner needs parking, like every small business. So what happens is our customers then go to the residential areas. Now the residential people don't have any parking. It's a snowball effect. I don't know how many people have seen a full bus, but I've not seen one yet. I grew up in New York City. So the bus thing, I don't know. But what my point is that my feeling is you are going to see so many more small businesses closing every single week starting right now, and you will not see any open. Even Kim's closed. I don't know, maybe there's probably, 5 that have opened up in Uptown? Maybe. So, good luck.
All right. We're not going to leave us on a bad note. We have a plan for Uptown. And the next meeting is going to be about that plan. So stay tuned. I'm going to get 2 more questions here, and then we'll close up for the night. And I have one more thing to say before everybody leaves, so stay tuned.
Thank you. My name is Kip Kelly. I'm the Director of Commercial Security Operations for BCS Protection. BCS Protection runs over 30 buildings, both in the Minneapolis and Uptown area. We've done that for the last 5 years, so we've seen just about everything you could think of when we're out there patrolling these residential complexes and their exterior perimeters along the Greenway, anywhere and everywhere in Uptown. There are things and people hiding in stairwells, crevices, and corners doing God knows what. That has to stop. My question to you is, what's going to bring the people of Uptown back to Uptown? Is it people in blue polos? Is it people in high visibility vests? Is it more police? What is it going to make all of you want to be in Uptown? Want to bring your friends and family into Uptown? You're not going to do it with the way things are now, right? I thought about this earlier and I was going to make a joke, and I decided that I wasn't going to, but I was going to thank everybody here for risking life, limb, and property for coming to this meeting here in Uptown. Now, some of you might chuckle, but guess what? I was at Matt Rife last night. There were 13,000 people laughing about the safety of Minneapolis. I don't think that's very funny. Do you? No. And it's an unfortunate thing. How do we stop it? How do we get Uptown back? Do we go out? Do we get a bunch of volunteers? And do we ask everybody engaging in criminal activity to please stop? I don't know if that's going to work. Do we come in with a heavy hand, sirens blazing? All right, go on, get out. Nope, can't do that either. Okay, so we've eliminated both ends of the extremes. What does that leave us with? The middle ground. My personal belief, privatized security, is that middle ground. What I mean by that is, as Chris was discussing earlier, on the Nicollet Mall security team, they have somebody patrolling the Nicollet Mall Avenue, making sure that people who aren't supposed to be in that area aren't in that area, making sure that everybody feels safe and secure while they're at Nicollet Mall. I believe that same concept can be applied to Uptown. Now, budget this, budget that, that is not my area of expertise. I'm more than happy to sit in a room and discuss that, but there are models that exist that can put private security in Uptown and help us take our streets back and bring people back to Uptown. There is hope. We just have to work together as a community to find it.
Thank you. Paula.
Hi everyone, my name is Paula Chesley. I'm actually running for City Council in Ward 7, right over there. And it was not my intention to make this political, but I do want to just name that, I do just want to name that as the chair of the safety committee in East Isles, I did ask you, Katie, if you could come to our East Isles Neighborhood Association meetings more often than every 3 months, and you said no. And so we were really hoping that you'd be able to do that because of the decline of the Uptown corridor, the needs for safety, which are so prominent. So, a question that I could have is, are you willing to do that for the rest of your time in this year?
Great question. I'm more than happy to answer why my approach to attending neighborhood association meetings is a little bit different than my predecessor. Neighborhood association meetings are awesome. There's like 20 to 30 people at each one, but they're not the only place that East Isle residents go. Just today, I had a meeting with 15 residents of Kenwood Isles, for example, a building in East Isles. Before that, I was at another restaurant down the street. I meet with many, many different groups. If you're only with neighborhood association groups, you're going to miss tens of thousands of residents. So that's why I decided that when I came into office, between the 9 neighborhoods that I represent, I would go to each neighborhood association on a quarterly basis and do individual meetings at buildings with renters in various neighborhoods.
Where should we be instead of the neighborhood association meeting to see you?
Great question. I'll be tomorrow at Brewhaven Coffee Shop. I do open office hours every couple of weeks. My staff here will give you the flyer for that if you do want to come to that event tomorrow.
Okay. Thanks, Katie. All right. So, how do I end this on a good note?
All right. Well, I did want to say that we are going to be hosting a lot more activations in the area. We do believe that activations are going to bring more people to the area, and people naturally do reduce crime. So I think we need a lot of different approaches to safety. The Uptown Association is hosting an art activation at 7 Points on March 29th from 12 to 6. Please come out and vote on your favorite art. The winner will receive a $5,000 prize. And this is free for the public to attend. So we're really excited to have you with us and support our Uptown corridors. The next meeting that we're going to be having is going to be about Uptown revitalization, and we're going to have some ideas of businesses that you want to see come back, and we're going to be discussing a BID, a Business Improvement District, that we would like to propose for the area that I know our council is supportive of, so thank you for that. And with that, I'm going to just let you know that I really appreciate you all being here, and thank you so much for voicing your concerns and not being afraid to get up and talk about how you feel about things. So that's another really important part of how we work together is listening to all the voices involved. So thank you so much for being here.